Good morning. This is James Clone. I'm an instructor here at South Lake Fire Department. I'll be teaching Mr. Jimmy Hoover over the limitations at SCBA and all the things that go with the SCBA. All right. You have any questions, Mr. Hoover?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, let's get to getting. All right. So we're just going to go over this PowerPoint real quick, okay? And then after the PowerPoint, we're going to do a little hands-on out in the bay. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Okay. So introduction. So basically, the topics are limitations, how to clean SCBA, and all that good stuff. All right. Okay. So limitations of an SCBA. Okay. So limitations of SCBA: the duration of work using SCBA is limited by the capacity of the cylinder. So here, South Lake Fire Department, we have 5,500 psi. Some places you'll have 4,500 psi. So SCBAs for structural firefighting must carry enough air for a minimum of 30 minutes. 30 minutes is what it's regulated to, but obviously depending on how hard you work, Mr. Hoover, you may see it could be 10 to 15 minutes of hard work it actually lasts, okay? Duration ratings are based on the ideal laboratory conditions. All right. Okay, so SCBA limitations. All right, so generally an SCBA weighs about 25 pounds. That's excluding all the gear you're also wearing. So 25 pounds, you can tell once you're doing some hard work, it can get pretty tiring. So make sure you're hydrated for any fire alarms, or anything that requires an SCBA. Size of the unit makes it difficult for users to fit into small places. So if you get trapped, you have to go between studs, you may have to don or doff your SCBA. When you do that, make sure you take it off on the regulator side, not the opposite side, because then you'll get yourself in a bind. Added weight and bulk decreases user ability and flexibility and mobility. So you won't be as limber with the SCBA on, because it's a solid piece on the back. Therefore, it's going to be a lot harder to squeeze through tight places, do stuff overhead, bend down, crawl, all that good stuff. All right, Mr. Hoover, do you have any questions so far through any of these slides that we've gone over?
No, I do not.
Okay, just for warning, there could be a test after this. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask away so you can get a better understanding of an SCBA.
Okay.
So some more limitations of an SCBA: facepiece cause limited visibility. If you're in a fire, maybe a cold day, get fogged up, so get disoriented pretty quick. You don't have any peripheral vision, so this when it comes back to the bulk of the SCBA, you're gonna start turning around. Be harder to move your head, especially with that hose catching up on stuff of your gear. Facepiece may fog up under some conditions, like I was saying, depending on temperature outside, maybe the smoke, get some soot on your mask. So just be mindful of that.
How do you get the fog up to go away?
A lot of people, they'll purge it. I'm going to say don't purge it, just due to the fact that's precious air. You're going to need, as much air as you can in a fire or whatever condition or call that you may be on with the SCBA. Sometimes they make a defogging spray. You can spray on that. Worst comes to worst, you can use your spit, or you can use some dish soap and rub on the inside. It'll help with the fog, probably not 110%, but it'll help a little bit. Also right here it says SCBA also may affect the user's ability to communicate. So when you have that SCBA on, you kind of sound like Darth Vader. We're fortunate enough here at the South Lake Fire Department. We have a Bluetooth mic on the outside. It can either connect to your radio or it's an amplifier. Super clear. Sounds like we're talking right now. But without that, it's just going to sound like a bunch of mumble jumble mess. So the best thing you can do is just be calm in whatever situation you're in, and to the point. Don't let it drag on. So need help, just call for help.
Talking on the radio, where's the best place to put that? So
your radio,
I can hear you through that.
Yeah, so you'll have two little vent holes on the side of your mask. Your mic on your radio, it's best to put that up to the vent holes and talk. That's the best way I can find out to do it. I can come back to you, do some more research, and we can train on it and see what other better ways to go about that. SCBA is noisy during breathing, which may limit users' hearing. So when you're breathing in SCBA, it's very noisy. That's all you're going to hear. If a pass device is going off, that's all you're going to hear. So therefore, you're going to have distracting noises in the background, which is also going to be harder for the people trying to connect to you or whoever you're trying to connect with understand what you need, what the situation is, and all. So just be mindful of that as well. Make sure you get to a quiet place or a quieter place when you communicate. And like I said, just be clear and concise and to the point when you do talk. Don't let it drag out. So that's it for limitations of an SCBA. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I think all the questions I had were pretty good and answered. So
okay. Real quick, we're gonna do some hands-on stuff out there. I'm going to go over the hands-on stuff with you to make you be successful at the skill we're going to do, okay? Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. It's going to be hands-on out in the bay. I'd like for it to be out in the bay so you're around the fire environment. You can get the feel, and it'll make you feel right at home. Okay, so this is the skill. Cleaning SCBA. So number one, you want to inspect the SCBA for any damage that may have occurred before cleaning. This is really big. Every time you come into shift, you're going to want to inspect your SCBA, right? That's your lifeline on the back. So you really want to do that every day. Make sure there's no wear and tear on the harness, your hose that connects to your regulator. Make sure there's no frays or cracks in that, no leakage around the mask connection point, or where the bottle connects into the harness. Make sure your O-ring is good. It's not dried out or cracked. Make sure you have a good seal right there. Make sure your bottle's full. Step two, we're going to remove the facepiece from the regulator. On some models, the regulator also can be removed. What we're going to be messing with, the regulator cannot be removed from the hose. It can to a certain point up the hose, but not from the bottom part where it connects into the hose. So we'll remove the facepiece from the regulator. Make sure there's no debris inside that, so when you suck in your first breath, you're not going to get a bunch of dirt, all that nasty stuff in there. We're going to make sure your heads-up display, make sure that's all working and functioning right, and make sure you have a good connection to your mask and regulator, because last thing you want to do is go in a fire and there's no good connection. Still on cleaning SCBA. So what we're going to do, we're going to detach the cylinder from the harness. This is a good part to make sure where the behind the bottle and the harness where it slides into, make sure that's all clean, make sure it's seating right. Then we're just going to quickly rinse off all the parts with clean water. We'll use a garden hose out there. There's no point of pulling off a 1.5 deuce or 1 3/4 with a smooth bore to clean it. So we're going to use that, and then we're going to get a pretty stiff brush, and we're going to scrub that cylinder and harness, and we're going to rinse it and set the piece aside to dry. We're going to make that thing basically look brand new once we're done here today. That way we know it's in tip-top shape. We're not keeping it dirty, because once it's dirty, the bottle and or the harness being dirty, it could just lead to further damage, which is more expenses on the department, and also, like I said, probably one of the most important pieces you're going to take inside that fire. We're going to get a 5-gallon bucket. We're going to use mild soap, so Dawn dish soap probably, and we're going to mix that up in the water. We're going to submerge the SCBA face piece into the soapy water of cleaning solution. This is really big. We're going to use some mild soap. You don't want really anything like bleach or anything else in that, just in case it could lead to further damage of the face piece without you knowing it until time is too late. We're going to clean the regulator with the same soapy water solution, but we're going to follow the manufacturer's instructions, make sure we're doing it right, and we're not just blowing through it and causing more harm than good to that little regulator. And Once we're done with that, we're going to completely rinse the face piece and the regulator with clean water, and we're going to set them aside to let them dry, and then we're going to start reassembling and inspecting the whole SCBA again. You could have inspected it and it checks out great, but once we start taking it apart, we're going to need to double check, make sure we're putting it back together right, make sure us cleaning it with that medium hard brush, it didn't rub anything loose or fray anything. All right, that's that, Mr. Hoover. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, do you understand what we are doing?
Mm-hmm.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Well, let's go out to the bay and let's get that going, all right?
Sounds good.
Hello, it's James Clone. I'll be instructing Engineer Roop on how to inspect and clean an SCBA per manufacturer's guidelines. This equipment is in use to this day, so we're going to be real careful what we do with it. So Roop, this is your SCBA. As you can tell, it's at 5,500 PSI. In the PowerPoint that I presented, it says 4,500 PSI, but it varies per department. I looked over manufacturer guidelines. I can show you manufacturer guidelines, but basically what I want you to do, I want you to inspect the SCBA fully, make sure there's no frays, leaks around any seals, make sure the O-ring is good, and we'll go from there, okay?
That's some crazy down here.
Okay.
You want me to turn it on and check it out?
Yep, so let's go ahead and turn it on. Look for any air leaks around the mask and the regulator. Make sure the regulator is, it can come off and then you can put it back on. Make sure the heads-up display is intact and working, and there's no grime within the seal.
Looks good.
Okay.
No leaking around here.
Awesome. So what we're going to do, Rube, we do have frays on the seatbelt portion that goes with the waistband.
Okay.
We're going to get connected with our SCBA guy here at the station, and we're going to get that exchanged as soon as possible because this is a major lifeline of ours.
Okay.
Okay, with everything working, go ahead and turn it off. So now, since we inspected the SCBA, we're going to go ahead and clean it. Right here we have our water hose, like I said in the PowerPoint. We're going to have some mild detergent, so we're going to use Dawn dish soap, and we're going to use a mild to hard brush to make sure we clean all the grime and all that good stuff off it, make sure it's in the right position. So what I want you to do, I want you to get your Dawn dish soap and water hose and mix it in, and get a good amount of suds. Okay. All right, so while that's making all the good suds and all that stuff to clean the SCBA, manufacturer guidelines said it has to be a mild soap because if it's anything other like bleach or anything, it could degrade and wear down your harness, your mask, the seal, and all that. Do you understand? Yep. Okay. So while that it's good and ready to go, so we're going to disassemble everything. We're going to take the regulator off, we're going to take the bottle out of the pack, and we're going to take the face piece off. Alright, so we'll go first cleaning the bottle.
Okay.
Clean it, try to make it look like it's brand new, okay?
Sure. Are you water first or?
Yeah, let's get it wet first. Toothbrush. Another good reason why we're cleaning all this is the carcinogens can lead to cancer, and we do not want that. Okay, since that's all lathered up, let's rinse it back off. Okay, now we're gonna let it sit and dry, okay? Let that bottle sit and dry. Now then, we're gonna go with the face piece. The face piece we're just gonna dunk in the 5-gallon bucket. Pull it out, we're gonna give it a couple scrubs. While you're also doing this, you can also look for phrase like "may miss" or any other deformity or anything else in the mask. Any starring, heat exposure, anything like that.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna rinse it off with the water hose. All right, now we're gonna let that set to the. All of our equipment clean. Firefighter is gonna. What I want you to do, once it's clean, I just want you to set it off to the side and let it dry. Okay. So once we let it dry, we're gonna get our equipment again, and we're gonna connect everything back up to it. So we're dry. When we do this, we want to make sure that everything's in the tip-top ready shape, ready to go for that next call. The firefighter, he contacted our SCBA guy, and they're going to get the straps, belt straps fixed. And once that is fixed, we are ready to put it back into service. Do you have any questions for me? Okay. Thank you.